investigating a potential homestead, I found one design that repeated itself more than any other type of home design, and I'd like to share that with you here today. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. Like it says below, I'm not for hire. I'm a consultant, but I'm not for hire. And the reason is that I'm taking a sabbatical from business, and I want to share with you, I'm basically this is my from my desk program. I'm literally grabbing some notes from my desk, writing a little outline up, and then sharing with you 15 to 20 minutes of practical implementation. Now, some of the challenges that we have here today is that high energy costs. We have, if you're into gardening and things like that, you have a lot of pests and other issues. You may have snoopy neighbors that want to mind your business. You might even be in a city where you have the potential for protesters to show up at your house and to demand your compliance and adherence to their whatever they're protesting this week. There's actually been 100 days of rioting in major democratic cities. This is a serious issue. Your safety and security is important, and there's one home design that I have found over and over again that fits all these needs. In fact, with the high cost of housing today, building a new home can cost you $100 per square foot. Think about that. If you got a 1,600 square foot new building going to be put together, that's $160,000. If you're living in a 3,200 square foot place, that's $320,000. Then you add on top of that heating and air conditioning. You add on a lot of things. Now, there's one contextual element that makes this home design different, because I found this home design in China. I found this home design in India. I found this home design in the Middle East. I found this home design in South America, Spain. I found this home design primarily in areas with high affluence. Now, as you know, Prosperity Homestead is about helping high-income professionals and entrepreneurs, homeowners who are interested in developing a more sustainable and ecologically sound homestead, or small farm or estate. You'll tend to see this particular design more in estates than you will see it anywhere else. Now, you do have some solutions. If you want a more environmentally friendly home, if you want a home that reduces theft and nosy neighbors, if you want a home that's low maintenance and provides for generational housing, where over the years you can expand the home and bring family home. It's starting to become a more trend where the kids are staying at home. Some of them are staying at home because the cost of housing is so expensive, and some of them are staying at home because people had kids later and their parents are already elderly, and so they're going to take care of their parents. So they got a couple solutions. If you want a home like that, if you want a home that does all these things, that cools itself in the summer and warms itself in the winter, you've got to understand a couple factors. Now, I'm going to go through these factors. There are simply three. You could build the home yourself, but you have to understand the green factor. So for one, your solar aspect. How is the home positioned in relationship to the sun? Okay, because the sun warms a home all year round. If the sun has heavy eaves, so you have a wider eaves, when the sun is higher in the sky in the summer, and this comes from my permaculture design certification. So again, if you have questions, this is what the program's for, to answer your questions. If the sun is higher in the summer and your eaves go out a little farther, you'll actually shade your house and it'll cool off the house a bit. In the winter, when the sun is lower, you want that sun to come in the house and warm it up. So using the sun's energy rather than using petrol fuel, rather than having to use electric heat, natural gas, you can actually heat the house with the sun. So you can build your own custom house and install these green features. For example, your northern wall. Your north in the northern hemisphere, the north side of the property tends to have more wind and more cool air. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, it'd be the south side. I'm in a mid-Atlantic region of the United States of America, and I'm in a temperate climate. I'm going to talk from that context. Well, you can build your home with that big wall. It could be southern-facing windows to take advantage of the sun. It could be a big mass wall, a high-density wall, so when you have that low winter sun, it actually absorbs that heat in the back wall. You need to know these designs. So you could custom build a home that has all the features that we described, but again, it's going to be the maximum cost possible. So that's kind of like the best solution, custom build a home. There's another solution is to buy an existing home. Now, I have been very fortunate that when we moved to the particular location we're in right now, I looked at 40 homes. I mapped out solar aspect. I mapped out all the kinds of details, expandability, the uses of the home, because one of the things we do in Prosperity Homestead is talk about maximum utility value. You can actually go buy an existing home. The challenge with that is that you often end up with someone else's deferred maintenance. And that's one of the challenges I'm facing right now. I've got a nice house on a nice lot, but we had to clear the lot. We had to fix the roof. We had to fix the chimney. There's all kinds of things that had to be done because an older person owned the house before, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance. There was also a lot of deferred maintenance that people didn't know about. Like, for example, the trees in the backyard were 30 years old, and there was a lot of erosion. Therefore, the trees tended to fall over. Okay. If you've seen any of my videos on that, you see I've even got videos of trees falling over. How often can you go get a video of tree falling in the woods? Well, that means a lot of trees are falling, and they're still falling, but there's no trees near the house anymore. So when they fall in the woods behind me, and I don't really give a care. Also, I found a property that was backed up to the woods, so I have the privacy issue taken care of. And the hill, it's a defensible position. It's a house on the hill, so it's a little bit defensible, but it's not all the way at the top of the hill that we have too much cold air coming across. Long story short, you can always buy an existing home and have all these features. So good luck hunting, because right now home inventories are at the lowest they have ever been. Mortgage rates are low. Homes are under a lot of restrictions right now, and good luck. Maybe you can do it. But again, you still need to know that one design that keeps popping up. And I know I'm teasing you here, but I want to keep you involved in what we're doing here. And I want you thinking about, what would a house look like that was environmentally stable? What would a house look like that heated itself in the winter and cooled itself in the summer? What would a house look like that was defensible, that was secure, that may even secure my garden space? Here, I ended up having to put a 8-foot orchard fence around the garden because the deer were just abusive. The deer would put their little nose up. Again, I told you these videos, I'm not going to edit a whole lot. They just make that noise at me like all the time, and they're like, "Oh gosh, you deer!" And they'll be out there, and they'd have like some brassicas hanging out of their mouth. They'd be like eating all my food. You don't have to worry about it with this type of property. But the last point is the transition into what this property is with this particular flexible design is. The last choice you have is to have a government build a house for you. Too often this means maximum citizens in a minimum space. Now, what I mean by the government, you're a high income individual, you have a homeowner. What do I mean by the government building a house for you? Well, this isn't like, housing in a housing development or an allotment or something, or as in England they always call estates, but this isn't that kind of estate. This isn't government housing. This is housing that's influenced by zoning laws. Okay. I used to be a bird dog for investors, and I'd go around and look for the worst houses in the best neighborhoods. But we also had to look at what kinds of new, were they going to put a road through the neighborhood, later? When was the last time they changed the water lines? Right now, where I'm at right now, they shut the water off in the middle of the day because they're replacing a water line. Now, they're doing a great job at it, and it's not that big of an inconvenience, but I work from home, so I've got to deal with no water all day long. Needless to say, we kind of prep a little bit here, so it's not that big of a deal. But my point being is that the government is designing houses for people through code, through ordinance, through zoning, and that's not going to get you an environmentally friendly place. I make it a habit of visiting and staying in Leeds hotels. So hotels, usually they're little niche hotels that are environmentally friendly in the sense that they have sustainable building materials, that they have designs that do all the things that we're talking about. That's not going to happen in a government mandated home. So sometimes you got to be real careful with zoning if you're going to build a property. Real careful with zoning if you're going to buy a property. That's one of the reasons I'm on sabbatical, is because I've in a property zoned estate, and my thinking of estate is like the Biltmore estate or Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate. All of them have gardens and a little bit of agricultural in them, but no, it's more gentleman farming. But what they decide is the local city government, is extremely restrictive, and it's starting to cramp my style a bit. Obviously, being told my 40-foot by 40-foot garden was a little big, and that my selection of plants includes noxious weeds, which, by the way, the state of Virginia has a list of noxious weeds. None of my plants are on that list. But long story short, what is the most flexible design for a house? What is the kind of house design that I saw in many different areas, many different cultures, many different time zones and time frames? So I've actually diagrammed that particular house here, and I have some notes about that house because I started up a basic design plan for possibly building that house. Now, I'm probably not going to build the house, but ultimately, I wanted to explore the design on paper. Now, again, I literally grabbed this pile off of my desk. This is dated September 2020, September 10, 2020, and it is the low-cost, high-energy efficient home. And I'm just going to hold it up on the screen. I'm going to get the best one here. In Chinese, it's a Xinyan. I think I got that right. That's the spelling there. And it's this kind of house. It's a courtyard house. The design that was the most flexible from the Roman times all the way into modern times has been a courtyard home. Let me tell you why. First off, we want to heat in the winter and cool in the summer. Your courtyard home is aligned north to south so that you get maximum sun exposure at the right times of the year, yet it has these wide, broad porches. Maybe you've seen that in the old Kung Fu movies where they're out in the courtyard and there's like little porches all around the outside. And I'm going to keep one of these pictures here so I can flash it up on the screen every so often. There's various courtyard designs. There's this one actually has two courtyards, a front yard and a second yard. This particular design has a water feature in the middle. So how does this design heat and cool itself? Well, to cool itself, it is warming the roof, which causes air to rise. Since there's a border wall all the way around the property and a water feature in the middle, that tends to get a bit of moisture into the atmosphere while you get an updraft, which causes a cooling effect. So the house actually cools itself. Now in India and Pakistan, in fact, in Pakistan, Osama bin Laden had a similar house like this. But ultimately, the strong perimeter wall keeps out invaders. So I wouldn't have neighbors and stuff poking around my noxious weeds. I would simply have my garden on the inside of here. I wouldn't have to worry about deer. There'd be a garden. There'd be a courtyard space. There'd be an outdoor living space, an outdoor entertaining area. But ultimately, the house would heat and cool itself and can survive in a wide variety of climates. Now, in a temperate climate, on the inside of your courtyard, you would want to have more turf or natural elements. Where in a Spanish area, so you're thinking about Spain, a warm environment, or Mexico, which could be a hot environment, your courtyard would have a larger water feature and it would have more shading plants. So in my environment, I don't want a lot of trees up there because we get a lot of rain. I don't want the trees to be moist and to just constantly be dripping in the courtyard. But in a tropical environment, you may have shorter trees just below the roof line, but in a hot climate, you might have trees that are above the roof line to actually shade the roof and to provide a shade element related to your courtyard living space. Now, courtyard, off of the courtyard, there'll actually be your different rooms and living areas, and usually in the back, there'll be a kitchen, a living area, and then some kind of room. In Chinese builds of this, there'll actually be a ancestor's room in the back, and that's the further you get back in the house, the higher the stature of the individuals, and more likely would have your elderly parents living there. Other cultures are different. So we have a same structure, which is a building that has an enclosed courtyard, and we have different adaptations for cultural needs and aspects. Let's talk a little bit about defensible position. In many times, there have been issues where there's rioting, where there's concerns from the outside. You'll find that major cities, you'll see more of these courtyard buildings because you can actually drive your vehicle into the first courtyard, shut the gate behind you, and then be able to exit your vehicle under surveillance. So a U.S. embassy, for example, whether it's United States or outside an embassy, whether in the United States. I used to go to a lot of these embassy parties up in Washington, D.C., and usually they had a gatehouse, a courtyard, and then you could enter the main foyer of a building. Well, that's done for strategic and defensive purposes because it would slow down an invader. Now, not that you're going to get a home invasion, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to bring your bikes and stuff or your kids be able to play in the courtyard without concern or fear that they could run out in the street? So this is a type of design that works well on a small lot, but it also works out on a very large lot. Now, as far as cost aspects, a courtyard house can be built in stages. Your initial walls could be just the base foundation, and then you could put wooden fences over it. Or what I've been looking at is a lot of pre-concrete solutions because I've worked on military bases and I've worked in places where they've had what's called Tempest and defensive perimeters. I found that the precast of today is so far superior to, say, a block wall in the ability of being able to put it up quickly. Now, I'm not saying that you need a house that can handle small arms fire or isolate a grenade that should go over the wall. But I am saying that it's nice to know that your personal property is secured in an environment where the government is talking about killing the rich, where the government is saying the rich aren't paying their fair share. What exactly is rich? In some cases, and to some people, simply owning a home is rich and puts you in a privileged position that means you should fear or you should share. Listen, a courtyard works whether you're a courtyard designed home works whether you're poor or you're very wealthy. It just depends on how you design it. The key is that the ongoing maintenance of such a property is significantly lower. Now, you can adapt a home that you purchase into a courtyard house. It's very easy. You can do perimeter walls. You can do gated areas. Some communities are actually gated in such a way. But what I like most about the flexibility of a courtyard home is that you can adapt it to your cultural needs. I personally like to go to potluck dinners. I like to entertain outdoors. I like to barbecue. I like to garden. I like to have those herbs up near the house, that zone 1 garden from a permaculture perspective. I like to have that where I can get to it without going outside. And quite frankly, when I've been working in the yard or something, I might be stripped down to my underwear, getting ready to start dinner and realize I need some more basil from the garden or something. And I like to be able to just walk out in my little courtyard and get it. And if you like to sunbathe, a couple friends of mine like to get out there and sunbathe. You can do that in the privacy of your home. Also, the courtyard homes can be built one level initially and then leveled up. When we were in Taiwan, there were a number of courtyard homes that were as small as 12 foot by 12 foot. In the city, they just had little scooters. You can pull a little scooter in there and be done. In the countryside, I saw courtyard homes that were as big as 40 foot across the front and maybe 160 foot deep. The courtyard home is the most flexible property, no matter your climate, no matter your budget, or no matter the reasons why you want such a property. A courtyard home provides for you a lot of environmental factors that makes the home more energetic, more entertaining. Now, I'm not going to get into feng shui. I'm running up on my time here. But I want to tell you, if you've got any questions about this, whether it's adapting your existing home into a courtyard home and benefiting from the example, the water feature and the hydrology cycles that happen that actually cool down in the summer and warm in the winter. I would like to have fish in there. I like to watch my goldfish. They're pretty cool. If you want more specific designs, I can put together a couple slides because I did collect some pictures online. And you may even want, screensaver went on. You may even want some of the more detailed notes that I put together on the courtyard design. I like the Chinese courtyard style. The Maoist government actually was building homes like that as the kind of the factory stamp home. I don't think that design's pretty good. I'm more for the traditional styles that borrow and has similar elements with the Japanese style home. I also like the story and context of how the home is designed. And we don't have time to go in that here today. But again, if you have your questions, you can visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org and ask your questions. Again, you can either fax your question in or mail it in or give me some context about what the challenges you're facing, what it is that you're looking to accomplish, and what obstacles are keeping you from getting there. And if you're asking specifically about a courtyard style house, I'll even compile these. You're probably going to just get a scan of this and then the notes that I have on the computer into a little bit more structure depending on your question. But I'd be more than happy to share this with you because I went through the research over the last couple of years of homes in all climates, homes in all cultures, homes in all areas. In fact, the Quran actually has design specifications and about the perfect home, and it includes features that you would find in a courtyard home. The Romans had courtyard homes with aquaculture in them and food systems. This is just amazing stuff, and I'd love to share more with you if you have questions. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. We help small farms, homesteads, and estates, homeowners, get maximum utility value out of their homes and improve their lifestyle along the way. Thanks for listening. Visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.com.